was a beautiful, clear day. And up in the sky were two bald eagles. Now, if you've ever seen a picture of a bald eagle, you know they are beautiful birds. Dark feathers, white feathers around the head, with a huge wingspan. They're quite impressive. Well, these two eagles were doing something very unusual. One of those eagles, the female eagle, had a stick, and she dropped the stick. Now, dropping the stick was no accident because she was testing the responsibility of the male eagle to see if he was ready to become her mate. And so she dropped the stick and waited to see what would happen. Well, you know what happened? That male eagle folded up his wings and he flew after that stick as fast as he could. He fell down toward the earth faster than the stick, grabbed it with his talons, and flew back up into the sky. And when he got up there, he dropped the stick, and it fell down toward the ground, and she flew after it, and she grabbed it before it hit the earth. Then she took it back up, and back and forth several times. They dropped the stick until they let go of the stick and grabbed each other's talons. They both folded their wings, and they both fell down to the ground. They tumbled and twirled and twisted, falling until just a few hundred feet above the ground. Then they let go, and they spread their wings, and they'd become lifelong mates. See, that's how eagles do it. And they become lifelong mates with certain responsibilities. Now, responsibility means that you take ownership of your job, of what you're supposed to do. And so one of the first things those eagles did was they built a nest. Now, eagles make their nests way up in trees or on a cliff, and they break off branches. Now, the male eagle's the one who went and broke off some branches. Some of them were big, as big as my arm. And he brought those branches back to the nest. And then the female eagle moved those branches around to get them in just the right spot. He went out to go get more branches, and she put them in the spot. And he went more, and she made the nest. And they went back and forth until their nest was finished. And they would keep building that nest over the years. It would become almost 10 feet across. It would weigh almost 2,000 pounds. That's a lot of sticks. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of responsibility. But each one did its job. Well, before long, some little eaglets came along and filled their nest. And you know how little babies are, kind of hungry. Well, now the parents had some new responsibilities. So the father eagle went out and caught some fish. He would see fish down in the water, fly after them, snatch them out with his claws, and bring them back to the nest. And then the mother eagle would tear up those little fish into pieces to feed the little eaglets. Well, back and forth that dad went, getting those fish, the mom taking care. But you know, when those eagles got a little big, they ate more food than he could get. So now both mom and dad went out to go get, both of them to go get fish, so the eaglets could have plenty to eat. You see, each one had a job, and sometimes those jobs changed. In fact, it really didn't even matter whose job was what. They just knew what their responsibility was. Because when you're responsible, you take ownership of your job, so if you're expected to do something, well, you do it. Well, not only did they build a nest, not only were they feeding the eaglets, but finally those eaglets were getting a little big, and it was their time to learn how to fly. See, those little eaglets would start flapping their wings, and they get a little high up over the nest, and maybe they get a little scared, and they fold their wings and fall back in the nest. Well, as long as they were over the nest, no problem. But one day, one of those eaglets flapped his wings, and a gust of wind pushed him outside the nest, and he fell down onto a limb. Well, there's no way he could get back up to the nest. And Mom and Dad figured this was his day to learn how to fly. See, that's what eagles are born to do, to fly up in the sky. And so Mom and Dad came down to teach that little eaglet how to fly. That daddy eagle popped down on the branch. And at first, the eaglet thought, hey, this will be great. But then the daddy eagle started pushing further and further out on the branch. And the further he went on the branch, the more that branch began to wobble until all of a sudden the eaglet fell off the branch. Now, do you think that daddy eagle was going to just let the eaglet fall to the ground? No way. That would not be responsible. No, that daddy eagle flew down beside that little eaglet, spread out his wings so the air would come up under the little eaglet until that eaglet could start flapping his wings and learn to fly. You see, responsibility includes a lot of things. Whether it's building something, or feeding, or teaching, or working, or doing, we all have responsibilities, kind of like those eaglets do in their little family. You and I have responsibilities at home. We have responsibilities at school. And we need to take ownership of our jobs, so if we're expected to do something, people can count on us that we're going to do it. That's the lesson of the bald eagle. And I hope that you and I will be responsible like that.